Hey, IMB, you ready? So this is what they've been waiting on. Yeah.
What's up, ShineHard family and friends? I'm here in Brooklyn, New York for this week's interview with Ryan Boyd. He's a Hampton University alum, and currently he is a content developer for the National Basketball Association here in New York. He has a very amazing journey in the sports industry, as a wealth of knowledge. So today we're going to dive into his passions, his adversities, and try to uncover some secrets on how you too can break into the sports industry. So it's time to shine. Ryan, what's up, boss?
What's going on, sir?
Good, man. How are you today, man?
Good, man. Blessed to be here.
Yeah. I'm glad we could finally get you on an interview, man. I've been watching your stuff, man. I've been following your social media accounts. Really just diving into your LinkedIn and learning more about your journey. I'm really impressed, man.
I appreciate it. It's definitely been a journey.
Yeah.
You know, as everyone, ups and downs.
Yeah, for sure. And that's important. I think that's all about the testimony. You know, you go through the struggle that creates that greater triumph in the end. So let's kind of dive into it. It's really fascinating to me when I speak to seasoned professionals and really just talented people to find out where their journey began. So I want to ask you, what was your childhood like, and you know, what was growing up like for you?
Man, that's a good question. For me, childhood was good, man. I had a great family. I'm originally from Fort Worth, Texas.
Okay.
I know I told you that a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
You know, Fort Worth is the main thing. I think that's the struggle, especially from a young African American male perspective. There's not a lot of opportunities.
Right.
Especially going into the sports side. So you know, I didn't see the people that were actually doing it on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
So you know, that was probably the struggle. But man, you know, growing up, I had a great family. My mom is a testament to all my success.
Yeah.
So as I think family is to everyone.
Absolutely.
But you know, that was pretty much me growing up, man. Basketball head, growing up, well, sports
You're an
head.
athlete?
I played basketball growing up. I played football. I actually started in baseball.
Oh yeah? That's a good sport, man.
Baseball.
The money's at.
Yeah. I wish someone would have told me that growing up. It made me stick with it. But you know, as I got older, man, basketball became my passion, my love. So stuck with basketball through high school.
Yeah.
Ended up giving it up. Ended up going to college.
Right.
But, you know, definitely an athlete growing up.
Yeah, I think we all figure out at some point that we're not going to the NBA, and then we got to figure something else out.
Exactly. Exactly. At some point, I was like, 5'7". So you know, I tried to, I guess, be realistic.
Yeah.
I guess, but you know, the passion for the sport always stuck with me.
Right. So you went to Hampton.
Yep.
What did you study while you were at Hampton?
Business marketing.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know, went in not really knowing what it was I wanted to do exactly. Knew that the marketing field itself was something that was an interest, but didn't know what capacity I really wanted to actually dive into it from a career standpoint.
Right.
So you know, went into it, learned as much as possible about it, and tried to figure out how I could navigate my career to kind of to shift the way I needed it to shift with that background.
So you always wanted to work in sports?
Yeah. But to be clear, I think I thought I was going to go into the music industry first. I started my internship my sophomore year.
Okay. Who'd you intern with?
Radio 1. So I was at Hot 107.9 in Atlanta.
Okay.
And man, it was such a blast. I mean, we're talking about, for anyone that's from Atlanta that knows the Birthday Bash, those kind of concerts. That were going on. So you know, I got there, and I'm dealing with, you know, all these artists, especially in that time. You know that's T.I.'s time, really coming onto the scene in dominance. With Young Jeezy, that Birthday
Thug Motivation 101.
Thug Motivation 101, classic.
Yeah.
And so Atlanta was just a really booming time. So you know, being able to just have those type of people at arm's length and dealing with that on a day-to-day is so exciting for a 19-year-old kid from Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah.
So I thought that was going to be the path that I took. Yeah.
That kind of opened your eyes to what was possible.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. You know, I had never seen anything like that.
Right.
I'm doing on that granular scale.
Right.
So it definitely opened my eyes.
So who do you look up to as a kid?
Back to the whole family thing.
Yeah.
My grandfather. So I know a lot of people watching this don't know who that is, but my grandfather, around the age he was 17, he went to Tuskegee. He's from a small town called Kerwin, Texas.
Okay.
Population 104. Not a lot of people from there, man. But he went off to college at 17, graduated at 21, and became a general in the Army.
Yeah, that's a big deal back in that time.
Yes. I mean, think about all the things that he had stacked against him.
Right.
And was able to go off and just really be great. You know, when the odds didn't tell him to do so.
Right.
So you know, I was able to like build from that. You know, as I grew older, I appreciated that more.
Right.
I looked at the things that he didn't have and how he was still able to overcome. And whenever there was an obstacle for me, I thought about how or what he thought about or would think in that instance.
What would he do in that situation?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. So it was almost like a cheat code for me because you know I was there to see him firsthand just be great, and so for me it was a no-brainer.
Right.
So you know I would hope, and I say this a lot, I would hope to one day get to where he is.
Nice.
So those are the things that get me up in the morning.
Absolutely, that's dope, man. So you're here in New York now. You have a beautiful home, beautiful condo that you live in here. I would guess it's largely because of your experience at the NBA, right? So you're doing some great things at the NBA. Tell us a little bit more about your role there as a content developer, what that means, and what your day-to-day looks like.
So really, you know, it's funny because you know, you hear content development, you really don't know what that means.
Right.
But you know, we wear a couple hats, man. So everything from, you know, we work with our partners on, one, how do we develop the content that we're going to share with our fans?
Okay.
What's the message that we want to put across, and how can we not only give the NBA's message, how do we also convey the partner's message?
Okay.
So that's just one part of our job, and then also all of the tentpole events that go on within the NBA, whether that be the finals, whether that be All-Star Game, whether that be Summer League that take place in Vegas, or our D League platform. You know, we activate a lot of that behind the scenes. So you know, my team is a lot of the on-the-ground planning, you know, coming up with the strategy of how we're going to activate and where we're going to activate, whether it's what city we would be in for All-Star, or you know, what we're going to do at the finals with the partners that we have.
Gotcha.
So you know, it's a very broad spectrum, but it's fun. You know, my day-to-day, it differs. You know, right now, the time period that we're in, All-Star just passed. Right. So, you know, a lot of people think that since the finals are coming up and then we'll be going into the off season, that it's kind of a dead period, but it's really almost our busiest time. You know,
why is that?
We have so many programs that we're getting ready for. We're already in All-Star planning for 17.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
We are going to Charlotte this year, right?
Charlotte this year.
Okay.
You know, so we're already on planning trips, and we're already, you know, putting those things in motion. So, you know, right now is the busy time. So by the time All-Star gets around, everything's already in motion. Right. So, you know, January, February is definitely a critical moment, but I mean, it started 2 months ago. Right.
As soon as the last All-Star was done, you guys start working on the next one.
Right. You know, there are plans in motion that are starting on 18. Yeah. So
where are we at for All-Star 2018?
You know, we're gonna announce that at some point. We're gonna announce that soon.
Do you know?
I know. Okay. I know. But you know, we like to you know, roll that out with all of the rest of our communication. But you know, it's a fun time.
Can you give us a hint? Like, where we at? Are we West Coast? Are we East Coast?
We're gonna be warm finally.
Okay.
These last two in Toronto and in New York, you know, it's been kind of cold.
New York was so cold.
Yeah,
it was so cold.
Yeah, so we'll hopefully have a little bit better weather. So
that's good, man. So what type of challenges do you face at work? I mean, there's so much going on. What's the biggest challenge for you?
I think the biggest challenge is continuing to push yourself, because a lot of what we do, you know, we try to consider ourselves being at the forefront. You know, it's great because we have a platform like the NBA
right.
and the fans that we have and the following that we have. You know, a lot of what we do is on a big scale, which is great. But like, how do we continuously push ourselves to try new things? Mm-hmm. And within organizations that are larger, with the magnifying glass on you, it's easy to stay with what you know and with what works. So now trying to figure out how do we push ourselves to not just stay relevant, but to push the relevancy of everything else that follows within the sports industry. That's the fun part. That's the frustrating part that that we deal with.
Right, because the sports industry and technology is evolving so rapidly. I mean, there's social media, there's Snapchat. Yes. I've actually just followed the NBA on Snapchat, and I really enjoy it because it's like on the court, in the locker room, you're getting everything like, you know, by the minute. Do you guys have anything to do with that and content development?
You know, so we have a whole social media department that we work very closely with.
Gotcha. See, I thought content, I automatically thought social media.
So we deal very closely with them. You know, we build the platforms, and then we both strategize together on how it captures and they capture on site.
Okay.
So, you know, our social media team, again, is just, you know, grade A.
Yeah.
They are doing things that are pushing every other sports platform to
NBA and Bleacher Report go head to head on Instagram.
You know, Bleacher Report has definitely created a lane for himself. They're just so creative.
They're so creative. Yeah, I really respect them and they're fun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, you know, with that, you know, they have a little bit more leg room to do things, but we try to, within the confinements of what we can do, we try to push our creativity to another level, and you know, always stay innovative and always stay at the forefront, pushing the other leagues as well.
Absolutely. So, do you ever experience any pushback being a minority in such a big corporate lane?
I won't say being a minority, no. At least not at the NBA.
Okay.
But you know,
well, you shouldn't. Most of the players are minorities.
Right. You know, at least on the forefront of things.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes with myself personally, and it's very personal, I have to get I have to get out of my own way. I have to say, stop thinking that is going to be the case.
Right.
You know, the NBA itself, man, is a very family-oriented league, and you know, a lot of the on the staff side have been there 20 and 30 years. So, you know, it's such a blessing to be in the position that I'm in because I really am motivated and I have support and you know, it's great leadership. And so
that's so important.
It's so important, and I think even when we talk to students that are coming up, we can talk to them about the importance of being in a comfortable environment that empowers you. Because I've been in environments that I didn't feel empowered. And I did feel that the color of my skin played a role in the way I was treated in certain instances. But you know, in general at the league, I don't feel that way.
That's good.
So it's a great role. Now, you know, on a day-to-day in other companies, I'm sure definitely.
Right, yeah, I mean, it's out there, you know. I like to ask everyone just to get their take because everyone has that different perspective from their, their office life. Tell me about some of the other experience that you had in order to get here. I know you worked with the Yankees, I know you worked with the Dallas Cowboys. What were those experiences like compared to where you are now, or how did they help you?
Well, world-class organizations, for sure. World-class organizations. So you're learning at another level. You know, both the Cowboys and the Yankees, I think gave me the tools and the confidence, because now knowing that I can speak on a level at the top of the game, it was just a confidence builder for me.
You felt like you belonged there after that.
Yeah, after a while, and you have a little bit of success, and you're like, okay, I got this.
The Cowboys, I did that last week. I was on the 50-yard line, no big deal.
It was a humbling experience. It was a humbling experience for sure. One thing that I think I learned the most from both of those organizations is learning the process. And
what does that mean?
Falling in love with the process. And the process is tedious and is doing what you think is right every day. And understanding that what you think is right every day,
Right.
and continuously doing that, that within that process, good things will happen.
Right.
And like that was the most valuable lesson that I've gotten, that I still try to live by now. So those have been the keys that I've taken away from those type of organizations.
Yeah. Any cool Jerry Jones stories that you had?
My first assignment as an intern was, I started on a Friday, and the way that the Cowboys sell is very interesting because they're very social sellers. So Jerry, what he would do, and the stadium hadn't even opened yet, the new stadium, AT&T Stadium now, it hadn't opened yet, so he would throw cocktail parties to prospectus. So we would have, so-and-so owner of so-and-so oil company, and, coming out, and Jerry Jones is walking them around, showing them the suites and, the state-of-the-art sound system and the screen. And my job was to shadow Jerry and take the email address and name and phone number of everyone he took a picture with. And Jerry has a very interesting way of getting his point across, and it's usually over a few drinks, and it works. But one thing that you really admire about the guy is he's passionate about what he does. He can walk into a room and make you want to run through a brick wall after a speech, and that's something that is special. It's something that is very special. So I felt empowered just to be in the presence of that. This is I want to say August after moving back home from Hampton in July. And I'm now shadowing Jerry Jones, so I'm looking what's going on.
Bright-eyed, bushy
tail. So you hold it together as long as possible. And act like you belong.
Did you get all the emails?
I got all the emails.
You got all the emails?
At least I think I did.
So when he followed up with pictures and sent them to him,
Yeah, it's following up, and it's another touch point, right? So again, it's like you're learning the process of how things work and how you're generating from a sales side, which I'm not on anymore, but generating leads and generating from a high level.
Absolutely.
So that was always something that I tried to do, is understand why people like Jerry Jones move the way they do. And so when you understand these people who
the mechanics
have a high net worth and operate at a high level, you see there's a rhyme and a reason to everything that they do.
Absolutely. That's deep, bro. I really think when it comes to leadership, the two things that you need to do, if you can sell and if you can inspire, then you're already in a good place as far as recruiting, selling, and leading, and having a great organization. I think those are great characteristics.
Right. If you could talk anybody into buying, there's a power of influence.
Absolutely.
And influence is what drives and moves the needle in a lot of things,
Yeah, man.
So.
Yeah, man. And I also believe in passion. I think passion is very inspiring and motivating too. And passion will lead you to your purpose. So when I look at you, I can't help but wonder, what is your passion and when did you know?
My passion is giving back. One thing that I really love to do is I love to talk to college students. And I would hope that you wouldn't run into a college student that said they reached out to me and I didn't reach back out.
That's good.
And if I did, charge it to my head and not my heart, because I really found that for me, coming from Fort Worth, Texas, and not really having a path that was a trail that was blazed for me. Anyone that I see that I can help with that, I definitely try to. Because there's enough out here for everyone.
There is.
And
that's so important.
As long as I see that passion, that's all I ask for is to show me that passion and to show me that will to work for it. Then I'm willing to help in any way I can. So, whether it's volunteering or just talking to a college student that reaches out over LinkedIn, I do my best to just try to reach back and talk to those people, because I remember being that guy that didn't know. and didn't know where to start.
It wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago. It really wasn't that long ago, and there's still a lot to learn. And,
Absolutely.
you know, I'm still reaching out to people, and I would hope that they would do the same for me. And when they see that I'm eager and I really want to know how they got to where they are, I would want them to be able to say, I see you and I see where you want to go, and I'm willing to help.
Absolutely.
So, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it happens fast too, because you go from college, entry level, intern, and you're reaching out trying to find mentors, and then you might get that job or that second job, and the next thing you know, people are hitting you up and you become the mentor. And you're like, wait a minute, when did I become the mentor?
Right.
But it's like a responsibility that you just have to embrace that, you know, because if people are doing that, it's an honor, you know. It's like they see you doing something, and for me, I look at myself, I always think I can do more. I'm not doing enough, but someone thinks you're doing amazing things. And that's the thing that you have to embrace. It's really special that you're doing that.
Yeah, try to, man. And again, like, you know, as you said, you really wish you could do more. And, you know, there's a lot of time where I'm just like, I wish I had more time.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think for me, it's just that when you do spark that one, you know, interest, or you help that one person get to another plateau, you know, it makes all the difference. And I think back for myself, I can give you definitive moments in my life when someone else impacted my life and put me to another level. And without them, I don't know where I would be. And I can tell you those exact moments and that exact person and what they did. And you know, so
how important has mentors been to you?
Oh my God. You know,
who are some of your mentors?
So one of my mentors, it's funny how they come out of nowhere, you know, almost like angels for me, man. I moved to Atlanta for my internship at the radio station, and I met someone through my father, not knowing that she would one day be a mentor. But, you know, she prayed for me, she was there for me while I was in Atlanta by myself, and she eventually became a support system. For anything that I needed.
At the radio station?
No, she wasn't at the radio. Not even a totally different field. Okay. She owns an accounting firm.
Okay.
And but it's just a genuine support of. I can't tell you what to do in that industry, but I can tell you that hard work is important. I can tell you that good character is important. I can tell you that values are important. I can tell you, you know, just all these different things. So it doesn't always take someone who is sitting in that chair you want to sit in, but, you know, someone who genuinely just works hard. And, you know, she's built a great business for herself, and, you know, she, you know, was very well off.
So how do people find mentors? What's the best way?
Reaching out.
LinkedIn or
LinkedIn. You know, I really wish that I had a LinkedIn. You know, LinkedIn was in the midst of being built, I guess.
Yeah, it was like beta.
When we were in school. But I mean, you can literally now Google the person who holds the position at the company you want, and reach out to them.
So have you ever got a job applying through like the regular application database?
No.
No?
No.
So it's always been relationships or what?
It's mostly been relationships. I will say that, you know, I've probably applied to a position through the database and reached out to someone to let them know that I applied.
Protocol, you have to be in the database.
And let them know, and then, you know, they went in and pulled my application at that point, and, you know, went in, and everything from there is up to you. But, you know, a lot of it is going to be who you know, and not necessarily who you know, but who knows you. Dude, that's another thing, man. Like, I have a group of friends here that have just been like the support system. You know, so that's I think that's a major key, major key alert. Man,
what is that? Support system?
Support. So, getting to New York, I was really fortunate. I met a group of like-minded individuals, and it was funny because I moved up here to work for the Yankees after the Cowboys. And so the Cowboys was interesting for me because I was there when the lockout happened. So half the sales staff cut. We can relocate you, but lockout, we need to save costs. So The Cowboys have a partnership with the Yankees. Moved to the Yankees.
Not a bad transition.
Not a bad transition at all, but not when New York wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't in your 25th youth. So, excuse me. I get to New York and I moved to Harlem. Working at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
Get there, and you're automatically able to identify the other minorities in a large group. You know, so we had a sales group of about 40,
Okay.
and it was about 5 minority men.
Yeah.
So we, you know, of course, we ended up gravitating to one another.
Of course.
And one thing that we did, you know, we realized that we all were very eager for success and we were all hungry, but we all like to kick it at the same time. So what we did was we created a pact.
Okay.
And we said that we would be each other's support system. So we would meet Wednesday morning every week. Wednesday and Thursday morning every week, right? 6:45 in the morning, we were the first in the building. And the great thing about it was there were different levels. So, you know, you had the guy that was 4 years older than me and, you know, the guy you're younger than me.
Right.
So we could talk about the things that we're going through, and that person who's experienced it before could tell you how they got past it.
Right.
So, you know, we did it from a personal and professional perspective. And I definitely contribute a lot of being able to move past certain things to that group. Because you realize when you have a group of individuals who are going to be successful, if you want to stay in that group,
you gotta keep up.
right. So we're competitive, you know. We were in sales at the time too, so it's like, let's go.
Yeah. How many calls did you make? How many emails did you send?
How many meetings you said? What's your revenue goals? Blah blah blah. So you know, it was interesting, man. But then, you know, as we grew, we realized we had something special. So what we did was we started looking at other like-minded individuals just in the industry, not just with the Yankees. So we had 2 people at Madison Square Garden. We had someone at the NFL league office. So what we started doing was meeting after work.
Okay.
And so it's now a Thursday at 8 o'clock, and you have 8 minority men sitting around talking about things that they're trying to do to get better.
Okay.
And it was powerful, and it still is. You know, we still do
You
it.
guys still do it.
We still do it. So, you know.
So is that the locked in?
Locked in.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, Locked In was built from an empowerment platform of how do we get better.
Right.
And not only how do I get better, but how do I help you get better? And how are we going to outwork that next person? Right. Because understanding we have to work 2 times harder.
Absolutely.
So
that's deep.
Yeah.
So what has been your biggest factor to your success? When you look at your DNA, your attributes of who you are, you talked about personal development. What has really, would you say, got you to where you are today?
Just hard work for sure, but I mean, just understanding that you're humbled to be in the position, but somebody else is coming out. So, you know, I've understood that back home, there's a whole class of guys who I grew up with that would like to be in my position.
Right.
So whenever that hard day or whenever there's something I don't understand and I have to study a little bit harder to get to it, I think about that. You know, I think about the people who would love to be in my shoes. And not saying I have a light years to go, and I have, you know, I think we both, and that's the reason why we connect.
Absolutely.
That we see the bigger picture.
Right.
And I think seeing that bigger picture is what's going to propel us to that next level.
Absolutely.
But just under being in that humble state of, I have a lot more to do.
Yeah.
I have a long way to go.
So it's like, in order to stay number 1, you have to work like you're number 2.
And number 3 is on that. You know?
That's real.
But, you know, trying to keep that humble state of mind, man. And you know,
stay humble, stay hungry.
Stay humble, stay hungry, and curious.
Yeah, man.
And you know, I'm now folding into a stage where I'm asking why more.
Yeah, that's
I'm
okay.
challenging.
Yeah.
I'm asking why more, and I'm loving it. I was, coming out of college, we're kind of scared because we tiptoe into the industry.
You try to act like you know.
Yeah.
You don't know because you don't want to be seen as green.
But I'm not scared to take a step back and ask why, especially in an organization like the NBA. We've done things a certain way for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, do you guys have creative authority?
To a sense, for sure. I mean, as with any major organization, there are people we have to answer to. If Adam asks the SVP that reports to him, why are we doing something a certain way, they have to give him an answer. So, there has to be a reason to why we do things, but, asking ourselves, is this the best way to do it? It's challenging to something or a platform that has seen success already.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, let's not stay stagnant.
Right.
And so I kudos to the organization for being open to that. But there are always ways to improve.
Absolutely. So within the NBA or maybe within your career, what accomplishment are you most proud of?
Accomplishment I'm most proud of. I think that I'm probably most proud of being able to have my mother join me and my family join me at the All-Star game in Dallas.
What year was that?
In 2011.
So you've been with the NBA that long?
I was actually at the Cowboys at the time.
Oh, okay.
But it was at Cowboy Stadium.
Gotcha.
So having my family to be able to be a part of all of the accomplishments, because as you probably know, being in the industry, whether it was with Nike, you go to all these different events with your coworkers and you spend so much time with them. What would it mean to have your brother sit next to you as you're at a football game, or standing behind home plate as Jeter hits his 3,000?
Right.
Like I spent so much time with coworkers, having my family a part of that.
Being able to show them what you do and share it with them.
And my biggest accomplishment is having my mother proud of me.
Nice.
So that has been it. So being able to come to New York and be successful and stay here for the last 5 years.
Hey, surviving in New York is an accomplishment in itself.
Surviving in New York is a beast.
It's a jungle.
It's a jungle out here, man. But cheers to the grind, man. And at a certain point, you learn to appreciate it and you learn to love it.
Yeah.
And
so could you see yourself anywhere else?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, of course.
So New York isn't the end goal?
New York is a thing, though. But again, what did Jay-Z say? I'm just a moth addicted to the floss. Like I'm bright lights hit, and I'm here.
So basically, you got New York, LA, Miami.
That's about it for me.
Maybe DC.
Maybe one day I'll migrate back to Texas. Who knows? The housing market there is amazing.
Yeah. But income tax is 0, so that's always low.
Yes. Yeah. But for right now, I'm definitely enjoying just everything that the city has to offer.
Yeah.
And, that's the people, the culture, the food.
Right.
It's just everything.
Sports, it's teams all over the place in New York.
Anything you want right here.
Absolutely. So what is the end goal for you professionally? What's that big dream on top of your vision board? Like, this is where I want to end up.
To be honest, I don't know yet. I think about it a lot. But I try to bring myself back down and say, be the best you can be today. And sometimes, we all think so green, which is nothing wrong with that. But we sometimes forget to be the best person we are today, and that will develop. So I feel like I have a long way to go. God says the same. I'll be on this planet Earth for a long time.
Yeah. So you gonna stay in sports, or is it is it a bigger dream?
It's sports. I definitely think it's entertainment. I have an interest in like real estate and other things on the side, but I definitely think there's a certain entertainment factor that keeps me going.
So we got a record company in the wing somewhere.
Yeah, I'm down. You know what I can do. I'm always interested. I'm interested in tech. Tech is big. I mean, as anybody can say, I'm interested in the technology industry. So, you know, if there was something that kind of merged the music, tech, sports, that was the right entertainment, the right fit for me, you know, that's what I would have to say I would evolve into eventually. But, you know, right now I'm just kind of enjoying the ride as it comes along and making sure that everything in my near sight I'm killing.
Right, seize every opportunity that's in your path.
Yeah.
It's the best way to do it, man. So what advice would you give for the aspiring sports industry students and professionals that want to get in the industry or maybe with the NBA? What would you tell them to do?
Reach out. You know, there's a wealth of knowledge that people are willing to give. And I think just being vocal, you know, it'd be funny if she actually saw this one day, but there was a young lady walked up on the train. She was walking to people on the train and letting them know, how you doing? I'm just meeting people. I graduate in May and I have an interest in PR.
Okay.
Could you help me? She literally, I saw her walking to people on the train and she walked up to me. I had no choice but to say, here's my car.
Right.
Any way I can help.
You saw her coming, you're like, all right, let me get my car.
But it wasn't, I wanted, because of that just innate tenacity to say, I'm gonna meet people.
Yeah, the courage.
The courage to just walk up to people and say, this is my name, and this is what I want to do.
Right.
Like being vocal about who you are and being transparent about you. There was something there that it just makes you want to help. Mm-hmm. And you know, I think that one thing that I thought it was bothering somebody. I thought asking questions, I was bothering people coming out of college. But I asked questions, talk to as many people as possible, because people are willing to help. So I think that would be the biggest piece of, you know, but one thing I will say, be willing to back it up. Be willing to work hard.
Yeah.
You know, if you're backing up what you are who you say you are, everything else will fall in place.
Absolutely. So you talk about reaching out. How can the viewers find you? Social media, email?
Social media, I'm on Instagram, RJ Boyd, and on Twitter, King Boyd. So, you know, hit me up.
King James, King Boyd?
King Boyd.
Some correlation there?
You know, we both young kings.
Respect. All right, you guys can catch me, JB's Food for Thought. Also follow the ShineHard family at ShineHard family on Instagram and Twitter. Please visit www.shinehardfamily.com. We have a lot of great things coming up this year between events, panels, art gallery. We're trying to get this guy involved with some events coming up soon. So please stay in touch with what we have going on, guys. And Ryan, man, appreciate you, boss.
Thanks for having me.
Smiling like I think it's funny. This is how I feel when you've been making money. Damn, this that 88 degree and kinda sunny. This that bend your knees and bob your head real ugly. Whoa, this is how I feel when you've been winning something. This is how I feel when competition mumbling. This that man, we up now, we just came from nothing. This that, oh my God, yo.